If you'd like to learn how to use Moon Animator 2 to animate two NPCs at the same time in Roblox Studio, keep watching and I'll show you exactly how to do it. Welcome to Roblox Snippets. Today we will be using Moon Animator 2 to create an animation that makes use of two NPCs at the same time. So we'll be animating both of them and creating those animations and getting them to play. So if you do not have Moon Animator 2, so I'm on plugins up the top here, and you can see I've got these three tools under Moon Animator 2. However, if you do not have it, come over to Manage Plugins and left click on it. And you should see the plus button here. So go ahead and click on the plus button, which will bring up this window for our toolbox, and you should be in Marketplace, and directly under that you'll see a drop down menu. If you click on that and click on plugins and then type in the word Moon to search, you should get Moon Animator 2. Now I have already purchased this quite a while ago, however the price has gone up quite a bit, so just check that for your Robux. I believe it's around 1700 Robux, which is a little bit expensive, but it's a very good plugin and worth the purchase. So if you've got that, you can go ahead and click on it and purchase it, and when you do and install it, you can close these windows and you should end up with these three up the top here. So the three tools are Moon Animator. Over here is where we do our animations and create keyframes. The character inserter will put your avatar into the workspace for you to animate if you wish. And the easy weld is for cleaning up models and to connect tools, etc. to NPCs for us to animate with. So in our case though, I'm going to just use a normal standard avatar. So click up the top on avatar, or you can use your own if you wish, and come over to Rig Builder, and it will bring up this screen here. And I'm going to use an R15 and a Mesh Avatar 2016 down the bottom here. So if you left click on that, it will add one into the workspace for us. And if you hit F on your keyboard, that will focus in. Now we don't really need, to make a bit more space, we can close the output window. And for now, the Explorer and Properties window, actually, I'll bring up the Explorer window because we're going to use that in a moment. Alright, so we've got this avatar we've brought in called Rig, and if it's selected, and we'll spin him around, so if you hit Command or Control R a couple of times while he's selected, that will rotate him 90 degrees at a time to bring him around. And as we're going to use two NPCs, we'll change the name from Rig here to NPC1, and what we'll do is simply duplicate this one. So right click on our NPC1 and choose duplicate, and then if we come up the top to home or model, click on our move tool and slide him over so that he's just next to the other one, and we'll change his name to NPC2. Alright, so for our animation, we'll have our NPCs facing one another. So I'll click on NPC1 and rotate him so he's facing towards NPC2. And NPC2, I'll hit him a couple of times so they're facing one another and fairly close together. Right, and I'll close that window. Now if you watched at the beginning of the video here, I've actually got NPC1 bringing his hand up and giving NPC a little slap in the face, which makes his head spin around, which is very simple. However, it's good enough to as an example to show how we're going to do this. So once you've got your two NPCs in here, we're ready to start using Moon Animator. So come up to Plugins on the tab at the top, and we're going to click on the Moon Animator button, and that will bring up this window in the middle. Now it may be slightly different colors to yours. Over on the right over here there's a themes button, and you can go through that and pick whatever theme you wish. However, to begin with, we're going to create a new file. So down the bottom you should see New Moon 2 file. Left click on that and it will open up to some blank or this timeline here where we're going to put our keyframes, and you'll see it's named Untitled. So we'll save it for a start by clicking on File and then Save, and give it a name. So this one can be 2 NPC animation, and you can come up with a better name than that, I'm sure, but that will do for now, and OK. And so you'll see it's up the top, and we're saving our animation as we go. Now the next thing we need to do is add both of our rigs into Moon Animator 2. So if you come over underneath File, there's a plus button. Left click on plus button here and move over the top of your models in the workspace. You'll see a blue outline comes up over the top of them. So on the one on the left, which is our NPC 1, left click on that and you should see NPC 1, etc. added in. Click on OK. And once you've done that, you can then come up and click on the plus button again and move over NPC 2 this time. Left click on him and now we have both in there. So you'll see these drop down arrows. If I zip those up, you should see both NPCs inside Moon Animator 2 ready for us to make use of them. Alright, so what we'll do is move our camera over a little bit. So just move over here and move this up to the corner so it's out of our way. And we can perhaps move this up as well up the top to give us more space. Alright, so what we're going to do is create an animation where player 1 brings his hand up here, and when that happens, NPC 2 is going to turn his head to look at the hand, and then NPC 1 is going to give him a quick slap. And we're going to do that over here. Now, if you've never done any animations, this is the third video I've done on Moon Animator 2. So if you wanted to check out the other two that I've done so far, they go into a little bit more detail about keyframes, etc. We're going to start though at keyframe 0, where they're both standing as they are. But then when we get to 30, so if you click on 30 or thereabouts, because we're going to move these around, that's where we're going to get NPC 1. So we'll click on him and expand him. We're going to rotate his upper arm. So if you left click on his upper arm, you'll see we get this rotate, and I'll just move over a little bit so you can see this a little bit better. So this is within Moon Animator 2. It's it looks exactly the same as Roblox Studio, only it's within here. So you can't click on the rotate tool in Roblox Studio. You need to do it within Moon Animator 2 for it to work correctly. Now, this is the rotate tool. However, if you wish to move parts, you can hit R on your keyboard and you'll get the move tool. Now, you'll notice if I grab the red handle here and move this out, that his arm moves completely away from his body. Alright, now if you make a mistake or do something that you don't want, or you want to go back a step, use Command or Control Z to undo your last action and you don't lose too much progress or get too upset about it. Right, so coming back to his right upper arm, we'll hit R again to rotate it, and we're going to bring his right arm up by grabbing the red handle and bringing it up near level with the other player's face. And when you do that, you'll see that a keyframe gets created over here for his upper arm. Alright, so once his arm is up here, I would like you just to click over onto 60 now, and now we're going to swipe his hand across. So grab the blue handle and move not quite that far, so perhaps over near his left shoulder like so, and you'll get a keyframe over here. Alright, so once you have these two keyframes, if you click in the workspace and hit spacebar, you will see your animation play. Okay, so at the moment he's bringing his hand up quite quickly, but then very slowly swiping across. Now that's got to do with how much distance there is between this keyframe and this keyframe. So at the moment our keyframe or our animation is 300 seconds long, which is about 5 seconds. Now to look at your settings for your animation, hit 8 on your keyboard and it will bring up this window here. We're going to change the timeline size from 5. If you just highlight it and put a 1 in there, you'll see that we get zoomed in, and now we're up to here, and these are our two keyframes here. So we can move them much closer together. So let's hit play again, and he's bringing his hand up quite slowly. So we want this first keyframe, let's move it even closer and hit play. He'll bring his hand up, but we don't want him to start doing anything sort of for a second or so. So what we'll do is left click and drag over this keyframe and come over to edit, choose copy, and then come up to around 50, come back to edit and paste. So now we've got the same keyframe here and here, and if we play now, you'll notice that he brings his, I'll just click off that, his hand up, and then there's a pause before he does anything. And the swipe across is much quicker. Now, if you want it to be even quicker, you can move these even closer together, and you'll notice that he moves his hand quite quick. So the distance between keyframes is how long it takes to go from one pose to the next. Alright, so that's the idea of it. So now that we've got this animation for NPC1, we can do one that matches over here for NPC2. So let's click on File and save our animation so far, and we'll zip up NPC1 and open up our second NPC. Now we're just going to work with NPC2's head. So where he brings his hand up here, we'd like to animate his head. So left click on his head, and we're going to rotate it using the green handle so he's sort of looking at the hand. Alright, now it's going to take from here to here to do that. So if you play, you'll see that he quickly turns his head to see the hand coming up. Now if you didn't want to move so quickly, then as I said, you can grab this keyframe and move it over perhaps to say 30, and you may need to experiment a little bit, so that's not too bad. Alright, now when he's looking at the hand up to this point, and then as we move through the scrubber over here to around 55, alright, so even if we get to say where his face might be hit, so 58 or 57, come down to his head, and now we're going to add a new keyframe where we'll make his head spin. Sorry, I grab the green handle and rotate his head around like so. Right, and if we play that again, it's probably going a little bit slow at the moment, and it's going too early. Alright, so let's move that keyframe even over closer. Right, so if we move where he's turning his head, but we'll move this one here up closer to it here, so he's paused a little bit longer, and that looks pretty good. Okay, now obviously you could play around with this for a long time and get it exactly right, but we're just after an example at the moment to see how they work together. Now if you'd like to see your animation loop, then you can either hit Tab on your keyboard to toggle between loop on and off, or next to the plus button here you'll see these two little lines with a dash. So if you uncheck that so that there's no line through it and hit your space bar, you'll see that our animation is playing over and over. Alright, so we'll stop it there and come back to the beginning, and I'll turn off looping because we're going to deal with looping when we write some code for this in a moment. Alright, now let's say we're finished with this. Obviously, like I said, we could polish it up, but we'll click on File and Save, and I'm going to move this window over here now, and we'll open up our Explorer and Properties windows. And I'll just drop this down so that it's we can see everything. Alright, if we expand NPC 1 and 2 will be exactly the same, you'll see it's only got this Animate folder in here. It doesn't have any animations. So now what we're going to do is export these animations we've created into both of our NPCs. So to do that, come over and click on File, and under that you'll find Export Rigs. So click on Export Rigs, and you should see both over here, both of your NPCs expand, and you get this anim saves model with this keyframe sequence underneath it. So NPC1, and the same down here for NPC2. If you see that, then we can go ahead and close Moon Animator 2, and we're going to save these, or both of these, to Roblox. Now, NPC1 is attacking NPC2, and NPC2 is defending, not very well with his face, but that's how we're going to name them. So we'll right click on NPC1's animation and come down to Save to Roblox, and my window's gone a bit funny. And now it's come up with this asset configuration. Now if you see this, this is not correct. This is because we're not saving it as a model. We want to save it as a an animation. So cancel that and discard if that happens to you, and give your project a save. And we might do NPC-to first and see if that one works correctly. So I'll click on NPC-to keyframes, right click and save to Roblox. And this one's come up with the right window. So I'm not really sure why that that happens that way, but you should have a window that looks like this. So what we're going to do is change the name of this to be NPC-to and defend animation. All right. So NPC-to defend animation, and you can put a description there in there if you wish, and then click on submit. When you've done that, you should have this confirmation screen with this ID up here. So we're going to copy this ID by clicking on the symbol next to it, and you should see ID copied. And when you see that, you can come down and click on close the window. And we're going to now come over and add an animation object to NPC-to. So left click on NPC-to and the plus sign next to it, and in the search box start typing animate, and you'll see that this animation object pops up. So it's got a little white, sort of looks a bit like a light bulb. Left click on that and it will be added to NPC-to, probably down towards the bottom. So scroll down and find it, and then left click on it, and down in its properties you'll find animation ID with a blank box. Left click in that box and then paste that number in, because we just copied it, and hit enter, and it will be added in here. So now we'll change the name of the animation object. So just left click on it and we will change this to be defend anim. So that's our defending animation that we've set up there. Right, now let's try NPC-1 again and see if it, sometimes I think it might take a little bit on the server to save the IDs, etc. But we'll give this another go. So right click on the keyframe sequence and come down to save to Roblox. And now it seems to be working correctly. So once again, I'm not sure why that happens, but that's how I found to get it to work. Alright, so changing this now, we'll say NPC-1 and we'll call it the attack animation. And once again, add a description and hit submit. And we'll do the same thing. So we'll come up and we're going to copy this ID. So it should say ID copied. Close that window. And then on the NPC-1, click on the plus next to it and start typing animation. Left click on the animation object and then scroll down and find it. Click on it and then in the animation ID empty box, paste it in and hit enter. And it will configure it correctly for us to use. And we'll change the name of the object to be attack anim. Right, so now we have an attack and we have a defend anim. Now to make this, we're working with a script here now. So if you zip up NPC-1 and 2, we'll select them both. So click on NPC-1 and then hold down Command or Control and click on 2, so they're both highlighted in blue. Right click on them and we're going to group them together as a model. And change the name of the model to be 2NPC model, and we'll just expand that out. So we'll add the script to this new model that we just created here. So click on the plus of the model and come down and click on script, and we'll change the name of the script to Animate NPCs. Now Roblox Studio has a bit of a funny thing with looping at the moment with their animations, and I found a little bit of a workaround for it, and it involves clicking on the script itself. So if it's blue like this, come down and look in the properties and you'll find this item called Run Context. It'll say Legacy next to it, but if you click on that and the drop down, I'd like you to click on Client, And what that effectively does is runs this script on a server but makes it act like a client script, and that allows us to put looping and run it on the server so that it works basically. Alright, so once you've got that done, come over and we'll get rid of our hello world and we'll write some code to get our animations to play. Right, so we're working with the two NPCs. So the first one we'll call the attack NPC, and that will be script.parent.npc1, and then we'll call this one defend or def NPC, and that one will be script.parent.npc2. So make sure they're different, because if you end up with just ones, it won't work correctly. And below this, now we'll get the animations from each of those NPCs. So local attack anim will be equal to, in the attack NPC dot attack anim that we created. That's the object with the number in it. And local def anim will be def npc dot defend anim. Now we need the humanoid for each of these NPCs for us to load the animation onto. So local attack humanoid will be script.parent.humanoid. Sorry, that's not right because we're in the model here. Okay, so we will need to say script.parent. No, we won't. My apologies. We can just come over here and say attack npc.humanoid, and local defend humanoid will be in the defend npc.humanoid. Alright, and now we'll create an animation track for each of them to load the animation onto. So local attack anim track will be the attack humanoid, and then we add a colon and type load animation. Now for the attack humanoid, we want the attack anim, so that's the attack animation, and we'll do the same for the defense. So defend anim track equals defend humanoid and a colon load animation defend anim. And now all that's left to do is play both of these at the same time. So we can say attack anim track with a colon and play, and defend anim track with a colon and play, and we will loop both of these. So attack anim track dot looped will equal true, and defend anim track dot looped will also equal true. Okay, and that's all there is to get these to play. So we'll come up and click on File and Save, and let's play. Alright, I'm all loaded in, and if all has gone well for you, I'll just roll in and move up closer. You'll see that our animation is playing. Now, there is a bit of a timing delay here for how they play together. Just slightly. It looks like it's pretty good. It's probably because it's looped, and this is not the sort of thing that we would have looping over and over again. And it's mainly because of the, if I just stop here and come back in here, we're playing this and then playing this, and there is a slight delay between when this one plays and this one plays. So over a period of time, a few times through, you'll notice they might go out of sync. But in all honesty, if we change this to false, and we change this one to false, so we're not looping anymore, and so that we get a chance to see it, I'll put a task.wait in here of, say, 8 seconds. Then we can click on File and Save, and let's play again. Alright, I'm loaded in and waiting for the animation to play, and you'll see that it just played through as normal. So he put his hand up, NPC looked at it, and then he got a slap. Okay, so hopefully everything is working well for you, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I look forward to seeing you in future videos. If you found this video useful, subscribe now. For more information about my online courses, go to mrbrendanross.com. robloxcodingsystems.com.